Okay, it seems like everyone is trickling in.
Sorry, I changed my mind. I do want my earplugs, earphones.
No worries.
Where's she going?
Okay, hi everyone. I was just waiting for everyone to get kind of settled and trickled in. My name is Allison Hazel, or just simply Allie Hazel. I'm the program assistant for Woman Crush Music. We just want to thank you all for tuning in today, this afternoon. Well, afternoon if you're on the East Coast, but a little bit earlier if you're on the West Coast. Today's webinar is super special because we've collaborated with Pandora, and we're going to learn more about their artist program. We have Jamie Freedman joining us today, as well as Michelle Solomon. So I'm really, really excited to learn more about the program and about Pandora and about how they, collaborate with artists and all the tools that they have. Just really briefly before we start, just pop into the chat where you're from. I want to know what coast you're on. Are you a singer? Are you a songwriter? Or just a music lover? That's cool too. But before I turn it over to Jamie and Michelle. And if you have any questions throughout, feel free to just, pop the questions in. And I'm pretty sure Jamie will answer towards the end, pretty briefly. Michelle will pop in as well. So we'll be monitoring the chat. So definitely don't be shy to ask any questions. I see you have a blues rock artist and songwriter based in LA. That's awesome. That's awesome. I know Jamie and Michelle are big like jazz, blues, rock fans. So that's pretty cool. San Francisco, pop, soul, R&B artist. Awesome. Awesome. It's a pretty multi-genre group. Well, without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to Jamie and Michelle.
Hey everybody, I'm Jamie. And Michelle and I are both on the Creator Services team, and it's our job to help artists and creators use the Pandora tools. So really, we are here to help you. I'm going to give you my email. It's going to be in here. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. I'm okay giving you my email because there aren't that many of you. So if you all email me, it won't be overwhelming. So it's all good.
I mean, unless you tell like 50 of your closest friends.
That's true. I mean, sure. We're here to help people. So it's all good. I've been at Pandora for a year and a half now. Michelle has been at Pandora for, what is it, like 14 years?
It'll be almost 15 years.
15 years.
That totally dates me.
I applied for Pandora twice, and Michelle interviewed me both times. And once was like 8 years ago, which is kind of rad. And she remembered me the second time, which I'm very grateful for. Actually, so I'll just jump in because I was going to give you a little bit about me anyway. So here is. So we're going to talk about AMP, and AMP is going to help me. So what we call this is Pandora for Creators. So everybody who makes music, but this also includes singer-songwriters who might not be, the artist, DJs, producers, bloggers, writers. There's tools for all of you. Most of the tools we have are for artists on Pandora, but we do have some tools for creators in general, and we're going to talk about that stuff. This is going to include AMP, AMPcast, Stories, Next Big Sound, and more. So a little bit about me. This is me at Ladies Rock Camp, which is a fundraiser for Girls Rock Camp, which is an international organization that's basically rock camp, but just for girls. And I used to volunteer at it. And then I did the women's ladies rock camp, and here I am learning to play the bass. And I think our band was called Mama and the Tweets, and our song was like about lost shoes or something. So like this is like one of the most badass photos I have of myself. So there you go. But I have an academic background in music. I've been singing my whole life, mostly in choirs. And right now I sing in a group called Conspiracy of Venus. That's all women's group that covers mostly pop songs like Bjork and Joni Mitchell and David Bowie. Working at Pandora for a year and a half. I am also the classical programmer, which is pretty fun, and it's nice to be able to chill out and listen to classical music just on a daily basis. What are other things that I usually say about me? I have a master's degree in ethnomusicology, and I wrote my master's report on gospel brunch in Austin, Texas, which was pretty rad. As a Jewish girl, I know a lot about music about Jesus, and I'm really proud of that. So that's a little bit about me. Michelle, since you're here and you are so interesting as well, will you want to introduce yourself too?
Sure. Thanks, Jamie. And thank you, Women Crush, for having us. It's an honor. Like I mentioned, I've been at Pandora for almost 15 years. So I kind of hopped on just a few months after Pandora launched. I was working at a record store beforehand, and one of my coworkers was a Pandora music analyst. And I was like, okay, what's a music analyst and what is Pandora besides the jewelry company? And so he told me about it. I was very intrigued. I logged on to the desktop and navigated to Pandora.com, created my first station, and kind of just fell in love. And I was like, okay, this is innovative, fresh, exciting, and I want to be a part of it in any way, shape, or form. And so I kept pestering my coworker to get me in. And he did it for me. He got me in, and my first job at Pandora was ripping CDs and checking the metadata, checking to make sure everything was spelled correctly, and I was in heaven. And so from there, I helped form the curation department, and now here I am. So it's been kind of a long labor of love and ups and downs with the company, and I've enjoyed it the entire time. I've been such a huge advocate for Pandora, and I'm so happy I have the opportunity to talk about it, share my love for music and expertise. So in addition to the creator tools, I program Pandora's jazz, oldies, and show tunes playlists and stations. And I'm based in Oakland, California. And outside of Pandora, I've been a professional all vinyl DJ for a little over 10 years now. My DJ name is Mexican Spitfire. You can find me on Instagram under DJ Mexican Spitfire. And I specialize in old school funk, soul, disco, lowrider oldies, salsa, cumbia. I DJ weddings, and then I had monthly residencies at bars up until shelter in place hit. So now I'm trying to be a little bit more creative and looking at getting like a home DJ setup ready to go and start doing some live broadcasts, because I miss it. I really miss sharing music. So any way I can do it, I'm working on it. Thanks, Jamie.
Yeah, we're doing like Zoom choir meetings, which is like nowhere near the same, but it's better than nothing for sure. All right, is this gonna let me? Okay, cool. All right, so the first thing that I try to add for some of these is there's always the question of, I just wanna make sure that we at least address this straight up, is that if you don't have music on Pandora and you want to, or you've had it delivered to us, but it's still not live, that's kind of where we're starting from, is that we have your music. But I wanted just to make sure that if you did want to get your music on Pandora, that this is how you do it. So take a screenshot here, and you can also email me later and we can figure all this out. But yeah, we're going to start from the, just you have your music already on Pandora. And if we need to get you there, we will do that. And to claim your artist account, this is where you go, amp.pandora.com. /claim artist. So take a screenshot of that. And we can also go back and we can grab these for you later. All right, so introduction to AMP. And that's short for Artist Marketing Platform. And so the Creator Services team, that's the team that Michelle and I are on, we have like a mission and a vision for what what we're out here doing. And we are here to support creators and help you succeed, really in any way we can. I mean, obviously we are here to help you with Pandora, but we obviously know that Pandora is just one of the pieces. So whatever we can do to help just you build your whole platform and your whole marketing plan and just getting your music to people. And we understand we're all musicians or DJs, and we all, know how it is. All of our tools are free, and our support is also free. So we are here to help you. And really it's to connect creators with your fans, because really that's right what it's all about. And not only to connect with fans that you already have, but help discover and reach new fans. And obviously to survive and thrive. I mean, right now it's such a dicey time, and so maybe surviving is really what you want to be doing. But in a lot of ways that what's happening now, especially digitally, you can really thrive if you take advantage of all the tools. All right, so what I'm going to do is give you an overview of what the tools are, and then we're going to go into more of a deep dive. So the first one is promoting singles. And here's an example of how you can promote a single. This one's from Maya.
Hello, Pandora. It's Maya. I have a new album coming out this spring, and this is one of the songs from it called Damage. Give it a thumbs up if you dig it.
And I probably should make sure. Could everyone hear that?
It was a little low, Jamie, but yes, we could hear it.
Let's see if I can. Let me see. Oops. Oh, of course, spinning beach ball of death. While it's doing that, sorry. My Zoom choir, we are actually not very Eric Whitacre at all. Because what Eric Whitacre does is has people, those of virtual choirs, have everybody record their parts individually, and then some super editor goes in and edits everything together. We don't do that because that is not, that's more for the viewer. And we are a volunteer choir, and we don't have anyone who's volunteering their time and energy to edit all that stuff together. Oh man, am I just gonna get this beach ball forever? So we just go in and we look at each other's faces, and we put ourselves on mute, and our conductor leads us through through warm-ups and stuff. And we are trying to learn pieces, like we have a new PJ Harvey arrangement of Kamikaze that we're doing. Well, this is all right, I'm gonna stop this and then try again. Turn my volume up. Let's try that again, shall we? Beach ball. Okay, well, anyway, hopefully this works out. I wonder if, let me try, I'm gonna quit and then go back to it. So that was what you heard. Maya was promoting her new single. So what would happen is that would play, yeah, love technology, amazing. Goodness, yep, that's what I'm doing. Force quit. So that track that you just heard from Maya would play before her, before the song, and it would spin on her station, and then in some places where you would hear it in other places, like on other people's channels. And it's a really awesome, sorry, I'm trying to do this while I'm talking to you. It's a really awesome tool just for getting a new single out there, and for kind of putting some context in it, context to the new single. Because sometimes what happens on Pandora is that something new might not go down as well as something that people love and know. So it helps to have context, and that's what helps with that. And it kind of helps increase your engagement. All right. Okay. Hopefully, can everyone see this now? See everything? It's not.
Hello, Pandora.
Okay, there we
It's
go.
Maya. I have a new album coming out this spring, and this is one of the songs from it called Damage. Give it a thumbs up if you dig it.
All right, here we go. Next, feature tracks. This basically means that you're giving a track an extra boost, and it usually applies for something that's relatively new, that's been released in the last year, and has already gotten a few plays under its belt, so there's enough data. So the algorithm knows what to do with this song, and it pushes it to more listeners. So it's an awesome feature. You're never totally sure what's going to happen with it. It could do really well, or it could kind of just sort of hang out, but it kind of just depends. But it's free, and you can just give it a shot. Usually it does pretty well. And then artist audio messages. The one that you heard from Maya is an example of that, but here's a couple more. Here's one from St. Vincent promoting a show.
Hey, it's St. Vincent. I'm bringing the Fear the Future tour to Houston, Texas on February 20th. Tap the button on your screen to buy tickets now. See you there.
So you can send people places. You can send them to a live stream. You can send them to another page on Pandora, like if you have a new album that you want them to hear. If you have a playlist you want them to hear. There's some shows, and we've got some geo-targeting that you can say like, hey, hey, Houston, Texas, and I'm in Houston, and I'm hearing this message. I'm not like in LA. So there's some really awesome, powerful tools you can use here. And here's one from Summer Walker.
Hey, this is Summer Walker, and you just heard my song Playing Games. Check out my new single, Come Through, on Pandora.
Yeah, so that's when you could be like, you look at the screen and you can like tap through to hear the new single. All right, so Ampcast is basically doing all this from your phone. So it was kind of designed for folks on tour to be like, if they're, in the van on the way to Chicago and you wanted to just say hi to people in Chicago, and just like a reminder that you're going to be in town, here, tap the screen if you want to get tickets. You can still use it, obviously not touring, and so when you're connected to your account, you should be able to access this from just the Pandora app. It's not a separate app, it's just on the Pandora app. And this is Pandora Stories. I have no idea how this bird got in here, but he can stay. Pandora Stories is the tool that is open to all creators, and it's basically hosted playlists, which means that it's a traditional playlist tool where you build a list of songs, but then you can insert voice tracks in between talking about the music. So it ends up sounding a little bit like a radio show or a podcast. Here's one from Brooklyn-based singer-songwriter Mira Cook, who built a playlist including her songs and some of her influences.
One of the artists that's very inspiring to me is Bjork. I discovered Bjork when I was 13 and was immediately struck by her individuality and creativity. I really appreciate her force and her rawness. It always seems like she's mining herself for something new and personal to say to her audience, and her work feels honest and boundary pushing. I love her song, Hidden Place. It's super beautiful, sweeping, melodic, and mysterious. Here is Bjork's Hidden Place.
And then here's another one from singer-songwriter Kendra McKinley.
The song Canyon Cannon came as a consequence of an assignment when I was a music student at UC Santa Cruz. My housemate, who was a poet, wrote that poem. She wrote, flipped a canyon upside down, and all I got was a dripping mountain. And I wrote the lyrics on the inside of my arm and spent the day looking at it until a melody popped in my head. It actually happened when I was in the shower, and I had the idea to turn it into a round, and it evolved from a sort of Appalachian solo looping song into what has become a heavy metal witch seance. And now it's menstruation inducing when we play it live.
Oh, I'm playing it live. I want to hear music live again. Next Big Sound. So Next Big Sound is a platform that Pandora acquired a few years ago. That's basically where you're going to find a deep dive into all your stats and numbers and charts and things. We're slowly integrating everything onto the AMP dashboard, and I'll show you where to find that. But you can go to nextbigsound.com and look up almost any artist that you want. And if they're not on there, you can add them. And then if you follow their profile, you get an email every Monday morning. So that's really awesome, just for following yourself, or following folks that you work with, or artists that you like, just to sort of, or folks that you kind of compare yourself to, or just to sort of see how they're doing week to week. It's pretty awesome. All right, so here we're gonna get into AMP, and I'm gonna show you what the dashboard looks like. So this is what you're gonna see after you claim your account. And that means that your music has been delivered to Pandora, and it's been pushed live, and it's been analyzed. And again, if you're not there yet, you can email me and we'll get you going. So this is A minor forest. This is our boss's band, Michelle and my boss's band, one of his few metal bands, because he's in like at least 2, if not more, A minor forest. And so we're just going to go across the tabs, and I'm just going to give you a little bit of a tour of what you'll be able to see. So we're going to start with Insights. And this is where you find the information that's been pulled over from Next Big Sound. So you're going to see a lot of the higher level stats, like lifetime streams, lifetime artist station ads, which means how many people over your artist's lifetime have added your station. And then how many unique listeners you've had in the last 28 days, which means like literally how many people. And then here you'll be able to see programming placements. So, you know, this is funny because until I did this presentation, I didn't even know math rock was a thing. And that's Andy's band. And just because this is always a question for programming placements, I know that other DSPs have more of a process of how to pitch your music to these playlists and the programmers who make the playlist, and we don't have that yet. So there really is no official way to do it. We just encourage you guys to use the tools, and as things rise, you know, the programmers will notice it. So that's always a question we get. So it's always good to address that here. Here's all the metrics. So this is really cool because you can, if you're into this stuff, you can sort of play around with this and change all of these things. So for instance, you can see how many streams you got on a very specific day. Or if you see if you see that there was one day that did really well, or that where things started to increase, you could see what date that was. So you could sort of figure out what caused that. Here is our heat map. This is one of my favorite things that Next Big Sound has. And what you're seeing here is anything with a darker color, you're over indexing, and the lighter color, you're under indexing. And everywhere where you see a colored spot is where in the United States, your music has played. So Andy's band is really popular in Detroit. I think that dot in, I can't remember, I think that might be Tulsa in Oklahoma. I can't remember, I did look this up, but like, you know, let's say he's planning a tour. He's like, oh, I never thought to go to Oklahoma. I should go to Oklahoma because I've got some super fans there. So this is just a really cool way to kind of just see who's listening to your music. And you can change, you can look at streams, you can look at station ads, thumbs up, you can look at date ranges and things like that. Oh, there we go. I forgot where the arrows are. All right, so then if you go to the next tab, that's campaigns, and that's where you're gonna find, if you do end up setting up some featured tracks or artist messages or promoting a show, those kinds of campaigns, that's where you're gonna find these. And this is how you find them. You click on the create button there on the right. Oh, sorry. Once you have them set up, this is what it looks like. So they're kind of listed here. And you can sort by last edited and things like that. And when you click on them, Andy told us that this was a test, which is why he had one wonderful, beautiful listener that heard this artist message. So you can see when the artist message ran from, how many listeners there were, and then if you wanted to, you could see how many people clicked through from social, because you can get a link, which is why there's a 0 there. And then you can, sort by day or by the amount of time that you wanted. And then to create those, you click into the create button over there. And I'm going to show you a little bit more about that. And then programs, this is The Blanks is another band, one of our coworkers, Dan. And when you build Pandora Stories and playlists, this is where you're going to find that. That's under programs. And that's what this looks like once you build them. He's got a mixtape here and a playlist. You can see if obviously if it's live, if it's in draft mode, or if it's completed. You can see how many people have listened to it, how it's doing. Is it going up in popularity? Is it going down in popularity? How long people are listening to it? Things like that. And we're going to look at this one. We're going to look at the mixtape. And when you look at this, you can see how many people have listened, how many spins there have been, and then how long people have listened to it. So this one's done really well. And then if you click show more, you can kind of just see all the charts. So like, you know, if you look at the top line there, in late November, there was a spike. So maybe someone shared it and a lot of people clicked on it, or, you know, it was in an article or something like that. So it's kind of awesome to kind of investigate if you're interested to see how things are doing, or and then try to figure out why, you know, where folks are coming from, things like that. And then in the catalog, this is a really awesome tool to have. This is where you're going to find everything that Pandora has of yours. And what's nice about this is that you'll be able to see if there's any licensing issues, which sometimes there are. And you'll be able to see if there's premium access or not. And what that means is that for folks that don't pay for Pandora, they have only access to the radio side of things. But if you have, but then the paying folks have premium access. And then if you do make a playlist or something, or if someone wants to, you know, the on-demand stuff, if someone's like, oh, I want to listen to this whole album, they can click on the album and they have to listen to an ad first, but then they can listen to the whole thing. But if you don't have premium access, they won't be able to do that. So sometimes there's some licensing issues that you have to just take care of. And we have a way to fix that. You actually end up leaving the Pandora platform to do that, but we at least can tell you how to get there. And then in profile, you can share your profile to your socials. And here you can also change your photo, which is really nice. All right, so for building stories, this is the building playlists and mixtapes. The way that this is what you're gonna see when you click on that blue create button and you go to program. You put in the name of the playlist, and then the dates that you want. You can start it whenever you want, you can end it, or you can just have it ongoing. You have the description, obviously, and then you can have a customized image. And then here's where you can start building your playlist. So you can do a search by song. So like if you're looking for Brenton Wood's I Like the Way You Love Me, you can type that in immediately and just add the song, or you can type in the name of the artist, and then what happens is you see the entire catalog under that. So there's a couple different ways to do it, but it's pretty straightforward. And then you add the audio message, and you can do that. A lot of people just do it on their phone. So there's a place, you know, where this is remove audio, so you can add it there, and you can do MP3s, WAV, the basic ones. But you can just do them from your phone, or you can do something more fancy if you'd like. And these can be as long as you want them to be. We usually suggest that they're like 30 seconds to a minute, just to like keep them nice and short. But if you have a really, really great story about a song, we definitely get that story in there. Because if it's a really good story that your listeners are going to want to hear, you should tell the story. The artist messages have to be, just for the ones that play on your channel, those have to be 15 seconds or less. I forgot to say that, I think. And then the other cool thing about this is that you can add a call to action there as well. So if you did, like, there was one that I was working on that was a biography of Stevie Ray Vaughan, and the biographers were talking about their book, and they were talking about the songs. And every time they were talking about the music or telling a story from the book, there was a link to buy the book underneath it. So that was really awesome. So you can do that, you know, if you like, there's merch or something, there's always a call to action, you know, tap the screen if you want to learn more. And then this bit is very important. Don't forget these. These are the browse tags and search strings. So these are how people find your playlist and Pandora Stories. If they're not like coming through on a social link or something else, or they're not even specifically necessarily looking for you, it's literally what they'll find if they go to the browse section, you know, and there's things like genre, decade, mood, activity, stuff like that. And then search strings is what a listener would literally be typing in to find you. So this example is awesome because there's like the record label, like a subgenre like jazz singer or bebop, or, you know, like jazz vocalist, like something. Misspellings are great to put in here, and that's literally what people would be typing into the search box. And then once you have it up and running, there's all the useful analytics like listeners, how many spins, and that's like all of the tracks. That's how many tracks are spun, how long folks are listening for. And then that big one is total stories listening. So that's how long people have listened to the actual voice tracks of you talking. And then there's also a breakdown of every single voice track inside. So you can kind of see if people are tapering off towards the middle, or if there's like, when we build playlists, it's always obvious when people don't like a song, you know, and it's like, oh, maybe I should put that further back in the playlist or something like that. So it's all helpful analytics to see. Here's some examples of some Pandora stories. This one is Kenny Loggins talking about Footloose.
The groove of Footloose was inspired by David Bowie's Modern Love, and the chorus was inspired by the intro to Devil with a Blue Dress by Mitch Ryder and the Detroit Wheels. The groove really came home though when Nathan East made up that bass line in the chorus. Played it on his first take. The bass line, of course, is inspired by Little Richard, but most rock and roll is inspired by Little Richard. That's cool too.
I love that. I did not know that. All right, we're gonna go to questions. I think that's it. Oh, here, if you want to take a screenshot of this, this is where you're gonna find a lot of answers for things, and where you can get onto AMP. So that first link there is literally the AMP homepage. So if you wanted to, claim your artist page and all that stuff, you can go to amp.pandora.com. The AMP playbook is where we have instructions for all of these things. So if you want a bit of a deeper dive, or if you need to go over some of this again, instructions, that's where you'll find ampplaybook.com. And then here's the AMP support email, amp-support at pandora.com. Those folks actually know more than I do. And so if you want to email me, I'll give you my email too. But these guys, well, if I don't know the answer, I'm going to send you to them. Or you can just email them, whatever you'd like. But take a screenshot of that. I think my email's next. Yep, there you go. jfreedman@pandora.com. Please feel free to reach out. And thanks. All right, I'm going to stop sharing. So I'm going to look at everyone's face and look at the chat and see what questions came up. Let's see. There's a question about benefits of using AMP versus Spotify. I mean, I recommend using both because both have different listener base. I personally think that Pandora is better for radio. I've used Spotify radio before and I wasn't that impressed. Spotify definitely has, I'm very honest, it has its advantages. So I recommend using both. They have very different tools and different audience. So that question was answered. Sorry, just seeing that. Any advice for new and up and coming artists when using the platform? really, the more you use these tools, the better. It's basically kind of getting a ball rolling and getting the momentum going, especially if you're brand new and the numbers are just kind of low, and that's just how it is. The more engagement you have, the better you're going to do. So use the artist messages, share the links. I know, not everyone uses Pandora, but there are people. So like, hey, if you're a Pandora listener, I'm on Pandora now. You can, just leave leave an artist message on your channel and just like, thanks to everyone who's here. I really appreciate that you're listening to my channel. Don't forget to give my songs a thumbs up. The more data the algorithm has, the more the algorithm knows who to play your music for, who's actually going to really like it. Obviously the goal is to have people come to your page and start a station, and just get your music heard more. Cool. I think Michelle answered the other questions. Let me see if I can go back.
Jamie, there was one Michelle touched on, but if there's anything else to elaborate on as far as being able to pitch directly, is that something that is in the future that you've seen there's a need for or want for? So once everything is kind of curated, pitching directly to those editors and curators, is that something on the horizon?
Yeah, I mean, we get that question every time we do this. So it's definitely something that we're looking into. Yeah. The answer is yes.
Yeah, sounds good.
The answer is yes. We don't have it right now. Yeah. Does Pandora do any kind of community feature new music highlights of artists using the AMP platform? We have looked at that, but really the best way to do it is to feature your track as a single, and to draw attention to the new track. So, do an artist message saying, hey, thanks for listening to my channel. I have a new single. Tap the screen, check it out. Or just like, hey, this is my new single. Give it a thumbs up if you like it. Stuff like that. And yes, the question is specifically using the AMP platform. That is actually a good reminder for me, because I was talking with my boss to build a station just with music with artists using the AMP platform. And it's obviously it's a lot of manual work to do that, but it definitely is something that we've talked about because we know how much that helps. So I need to revisit that. Thank you for the reminder, Jay. Does Pandora do any kind of I saw that one. Some of the other things I can talk about are ways just to get your music moving at the beginning. Listen to your own channel. Really, that's how you do it. Ask your mom to listen to your channel. Tell folks that you have it. And then once you're able to get a song featured, that will really help. Make a story. And I've seen so many creative uses for how to use the Pandora story. I talked about the one with Stevie Ray Vaughan. A lot of artists will do, if they have a new album coming out, they'll do a walkthrough of the whole album. I've seen pure just influences, music that I like. This is why I like it. I've seen a mix of those things. There was one artist that I worked with that I love this one, from Ned Ledoux, whose dad is Chris Ledoux, country artist. And he had a new album out, and a lot of the new songs on his album were, I think, songs that his dad had written that his dad never got to record before he died. So it was a lot of stories about his dad, and like just the songs, just about the stories about the songs. It was really sweet because it was this guy talking about his dad, and I'm not a huge country fan, so I'd never heard of Chris Ledoux. I kind of feel bad about saying that, but it was awesome. It's really cool to hear about someone's life, from that point of view. We've also seen some from, the more writers. We've seen one from a Pulitzer Prize winning writer who was doing research about music on the open seas, and it was about like a lot of like, I can't remember if they were actually pirates. I can't remember, but it was music that is played on the ocean, and how that and just how that lifestyle is out there, and that was really awesome. Or just like there was a band, Cave In, that was kind of a rock, a metal rock band, who was just talking about these really intense stories about their whole catalog, talking about, you know, bandmates that had died. And there was one story about one of their bandmates who had sold fake drugs at concerts and like made enough money off of selling fake drugs to like fund a new record. Do you have any idea of general demographics of Pandora listeners versus DSPs? We're finding that it's maybe a little older. We have like the genres that do really well on Pandora, like the legacy rock genre does really, really well. I mean, that's not to say that like there aren't any younger people on Pandora. I think just because Pandora was the first, I think we've had a lot of people that jumped onto Pandora and just haven't left, you know, in 20 years. So that kind of gives you an idea. How many Pandoras are currently using AMP? I actually do not know the answer to that question. It's a lot though. It's definitely a lot. Sorry, I do not know that specific answer. Yeah. I don't know. What else we got? Let me see if I can think of anything else that people usually ask. Is AMP a subscription or a la carte? It's free, so you sign up and you use what you want. So I guess it's a la carte. Yeah. Yeah, you can use, yeah, you can feature something. You can just do an artist message. You can do both, which would be the promote a single. You can build a playlist, whatever makes sense. I think really like you can do all of them if you have the time, and they won't like negatively affect. In fact, I think if you do, the more you do, the better, because you just make an ecosystem for getting the momentum going. Oh, Pandora. Oh, I think there was a question for Pandora playback. No, we're not doing those anymore. And Pandora employees are really sad about that. We have other live performances that we do, but it's definitely not the same. I think you might be thinking of, oh, Pandora playback. Yes, we are doing those. It's Pandora whiteboards that we are not doing. Yes, we are doing Pandora playback. But obviously in COVID, it's changed a little bit. Does Pandora integrate with Instagram stories the way that Spotify does? Yes. If you are on, I think if you're listening, if you're just on a page, I know if it's a song, if it's a playlist, if it's a album, you can do share, and you can share to Instagram stories, and it will click through. So if someone is looking at your stories, they can tap it and it'll open the app and hopefully take you right to the Pandora app. Yeah. Let's see, what else? What else can I tell you?
I have a quick question, Jamie. I don't know if other people may have the similar question, but I know like, for example, when you use like the Pandora stations and how it's like, oh, recommended if you listen to this person, maybe you'll like this, you know, person, and they recommend other. I guess how would that work from, like if I had a song and I was uploading it from, would my, you know, I guess commercial or my like promotion come up on somebody else's if I were to start using it?
Yeah, so that's the music genome. So if you have your music delivered to Pandora through a distributor, and it gets analyzed. So that means, so we have a whole team of music analysts that their whole job is to sit with your music for 20 minutes. So they take one track and they sit with it for 20 minutes and they analyze the crap out of it. They look at rhythm, they look at timbre, they look at genre, they look at lyrics, they listen to voice timbre. They get into like harmonics and like tonal qualities and stuff. And so all of this stuff gets rated and it gets assigned to this track. And so when the algorithm starts playing it, they start to figure out, one, what you like as a listener. You know, like I probably like, I always think that I like the way Bjork uses those big percussive beats. So it's like, if I like that, then maybe I'd like this too. And then that's what happens with other artists, so that your artist page will get grouped with other artists that share a lot of those characteristics. And that's why, and it helps when people thumb up and thumb down, because that just gives the algorithm more data of who else like you might also like this song. That makes sense. So it's basically, the algorithm is constantly trying to figure out who was gonna like what. And it's like you thumb it up, thumb it down, you know, and you can create a station that you're gonna love. That's why, like, I think people have been with Pandora for so long, because they've been training the algorithm to know exactly who they are as music lovers. And I've heard from other, you know, like singer-songwriters that are on their way up, that it's really awesome to hear who's on their channel, because it means that their music is playing on other channels like that. So it's just, you know, they're not gonna, I mean, you might get like, you know, like if you're a pop artist, you might get, you know, they might throw an Ed Sheeran song at you or something. But honestly, when I listen to singer-songwriters, I hear more singer-songwriters just like the one I'm listening to, which is, I think, really nice, because that means that your music is playing in other places, if that makes sense. Streaming royalties. I actually am not the best person to talk about that. We have a whole team that does that. And I'm not an expert there. I'm here to help with the tools. So I'm going to politely decline to answer that question. It's similar to the other DSPs. That's all I can tell you. And the streaming is different than on demand. I know that too, because it's just a different setup.
I think that's pretty much all of the questions. Would everyone be able to like contact you? Are you on like social or LinkedIn, or you prefer via email?
Yeah, here, I'll go back, get my email up here. Oops. There's my email, jfreedman@pandora.com, with 2 E's and a D. And then if you want to take this one too, this is also everything else that you'll need for just getting information about AMP, getting on AMP, the AMP playbook for how-tos and more, you know, if you need a refresher or more information about how to use a tool. And then here's also the AMP support, amp-support@pandora.com. And these guys, like I said, these guys know way more and can do way more than I can. So I will try to answer all of your questions, but if I can't, I might send you to them.
And just to clarify, we should already be using Pandora, like kind of like backtracking. We should already be on the platform and then kind of come to you.
No, I mean the way that we would basically, as long as this is under the assumption that you have already delivered your music through a distributor, and that you elected to send stuff to Pandora. So that's kind of the baseline here. If you haven't done that and you want to get on Pandora, that's the first thing to do. And then once your music is delivered to us, that's when I can help you. So if you're not live, but you have delivered or you haven't been analyzed, I can still help you with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Make sure we're on TuneCore, DistroKid, etc. before he comes to Jamie. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, if there aren't any more questions, I would like to close it out and wish everyone a good evening or afternoon, rather, depending on where you are tuning in from. Hopefully you took a screenshot or jot down Jamie's email, and Michelle as well. This was great. It was a lot of insider information, and thank you so much for answering my question, because I've always wondered how that algorithm works with the stations working together.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. These are always so fun to do. I appreciate the invitation. It was an honor. And yeah, absolutely reach out to me. And I'm on all the places. If you just Google my name or, search for my name, you'll find it. Thank you so much.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks, Carly. And thanks, Allie. Appreciate it.
Bye.
Bye.
Have a great day.